Hello guys, this is another episode of JP5 Takes and I'm your host JP. Today we're going to be having another 5 topics from the previous week. Number 1 would be, is Kirk Cousins the guy in Minnesota? The number 2 would be my opinion on Kyler Murray and Daniel Jones. They just had a nice showdown last week. So I'll talk about that a little bit. Then without Mahomes for an extended period of time, who's going to win the AFC West? Now, this one, not many people care about as much as I do because I am a Titan fan, but Ryan Tannehill, Marcus Mariota, who's really the better quarterback? And then what's the problem with Bills? Because they're not as elite as a lot of people thought they would be. What's the problem with them and how do they fix it? So that's the 5 topics. Let's dive right in here. With Kirk Cousins, is he the guy in Minnesota? So the last 3 games, Kirk Cousins has thrown for 300 plus yards. He has a total of 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. His quarterback rating is 141, 138, and 138. Okay, that's really good. That's really through that 3-week period of time, he's the number 1 quarterback. No one's got those numbers. On the season, he's 114 quarterback rating. All those numbers are good. I think most people, if you just look at that, would say, I would want my quarterback to have those numbers. But the problem is, and you look at Kirk Cousins in his career, he will always give you good games. A lot of times, he'll give you a bunch of good games. And a lot of times, you look at his numbers at the end of the season, and they're good. Last year, Minnesota missed the playoffs. And a lot of people, said that Kirk Cousins was the issue. But if you look at his numbers, he was 30 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I think his quarterback rating was right at 100, okay? So, I don't think the issue with him is can he not play some good games. He's not a guy that, he's going to have more picks than touchdowns. He's not going to be a person that doesn't have 4,000 yards. He won't be a guy that, his quarterback will be the 80s or 70s. But always been the issue with Kirk Cousins is can he rise to the occasion? If it's a playoff game, if it's a primetime game, is it a game that you win to get in the playoffs? Is it a big game? Can he show up and win it for you? And so far in his career, it's been a big no. The 2 worst games that he's had has been what I would consider a big game, the division games against the Packers, and it was somebody else, but either way, both those teams, their defenses was top-notch, and he didn't play well. It was Chicago, that's what it was, Chicago. Both those games, he did not play very well at all. He scored only 6 points in Chicago, and he didn't score many points in Green Bay. Both those defenses are good, and so you will need him to step up his game and help them win that, and he could not do it. Because one thing about Minnesota is they have a really good running game. I think Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook is the 2 best running backs right now in this young season. The thing is, eventually, and I think that's what happened in those 2 games, is Dalvin Cook will be taken out. He won't be able to rush for that 120 yards. Can he step up and win you that game? And in those 2 games, he has not, which has been basically how he's been playing his whole career, that he's not been able to step up and win you those games. Adam Thielen will call him out for it. Now, since he's done that, everyone's like, whoa, look at his numbers. That I've already told you, those numbers are great. Maybe that's what he needed. I'll say pump the brakes on that because you look at those games, one, they're not really against good defenses. They're not really against good teams. So, I think the best of those 3 games are the Lions. I think the Lions are better than the record says, but at the end of the day, I don't think the Lions are a great team. And that wasn't a game that, he needs to win this. He didn't have that pressure on him. Dalvin Cook still went off in the Lions, so that took a lot of pressure off of Kirk Cousins. So, in my opinion, I say he's not the guy. In my opinion, I say you have Kirk Cousins, you're going to have a pretty good season in the sense I don't think you'll have a losing record. He'll win you enough games. Well, you'll be that probably 7-9 through 9-7, and I'll say more 8-8 and 9-7. But I don't think he's going to take you to the playoffs very often. And when he does, I don't think you're going to go very far with this guy. When the pressure mounts on him, he starts seeing ghosts. He starts throwing picks, and his accuracy goes out the window. So I don't think he's the guy. Prove me wrong. I want to see him, as the season progresses, seeing them as they're trying to make a push in the playoffs because the Green Bay Packers are looking pretty good. They're going to face them again. How is he going to play in that game? How is he going to play when he's trying to make that push to go from the second seed in the division to the number one? How's he going to look during that? Right now, if I was a betting guy, I would say that he's not going to, stand tall in those situations because that's just been how he's been playing in Washington and in Minnesota. That's just been who he is. And I would like to see him play well because I think he's a nice guy and he's a good guy. So I would love to see him, stand up tall in those situations. But until I see it, I would say he's not that guy. And I say, if I was Minnesota, you have a good defense. I don't think they're playing as good as they could or they should, but they have a good defense. So I say, I want to see them. They have a good defense. They have a good running game. So I think what they should do is bring a quarterback, a draft one. That way, because now you can run the ball down Cook. Ease this rookie in. You have a good defense. And I think that's the route they should go. Because I think as long as you have Cook Cousins, kid yourself. You're going to think can this be the year we make the playoffs? And you're just going to come short. So I don't think Cook Cousins is the guy. Number two, the second take will be my opinion on Kyler Murray and Daniel Jones. They both had a showdown last Sunday, but the problem was it was raining, and it was raining hard. So it was hard to really get a true look at to see how well they was going to play, how well they could have played, because it was raining pretty hard. And the Cardinals, and I'll take my hat off of this on Cliff Kingsbury, they ran the ball a whole bunch, which if you know anything about Cliff Kingsbury, that's not how he likes to coach. He likes to spread them out and throw the ball excessive amount of times, if you ask me. But they didn't do that. They ran the ball a bunch. And I think that helped Kyler Murray not to turn the ball over. It helped them win that game. Because I think Kyler Murray only had like 100 yards that game, okay? So he wasn't asked to do much, and he didn't do much. But one thing that he did not do is throw an interception. That's big in a game like that. But Kyler Murray is 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Daniel Jones is 6 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and 6 fumbles. Now, they lost only 5, but that's 5 more turnovers. So that's 12 turnovers for Daniel Jones. That is an insanely amount. That's a crazy amount. That is, you're not going to stay in the league very long doing that. Granted, this is a rookie season, so you give him, a bigger leash than you would if this was his 3rd year or 4th year or whatever. But, I would say that Daniel Jones had a great preseason. Granted, it was just preseason, but I'm like, he looks like he could play. He had a good week. His first game, I think it was against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He played really well. And so I'm like, because I wasn't high on him, they drafted him, and I was like, well, maybe I'm wrong about this guy. But honestly, since then, it's been just a decline. And I'd be a little worried if I was the Giants. Now, granted, I'll say this: the Giants don't have that many good receivers. The offensive line isn't great. And for the most part, he hasn't had Saquon Barkley to help him. So Daniel Jones hasn't had much help around him. I'll give you that. And that needs to be something they need to address in this offseason. But if I was Daniel Jones, or if I was the coaching staff, I need to see a little more for Daniel Jones. And even, I'm not asking you to throw 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. But what I am asking you is take care of the ball. Don't fumble. Don't be throwing these interceptions, because every game it's 2-3 interceptions. He's got to get that under control. And then I think with Kyler Murray, something that's interesting about him is every game you look at it, win or lose, or tied because they have a tie. This first, second, and third quarter, he's not throwing that many yards. He's like 105 yards, in 3 quarters. And the 4th quarter is when he steps up and he wins you the game, or at least brings you close to it. The good and bad about that is like, you always say, well, it's a full quarter game, so you're gonna need him to play better, I think, in the first 3 quarters. But at least this guy's got a clutch gene. I feel like whenever the game's on the line, he steps up. Kind of the opposite of Kirk Cousins. He'll step up every time, and he'll win you the game, at least come close to it. Now, again, you want him to start off faster, but I do like to see a young guy like him have that ability to step up to the plate and will his team to a win, a tie, or at least close to it, because they have a couple of losers. And I would say this: the record's better than I thought it would be. They're 3-3-1. I did not think the Cardinals would even have 3 wins on the season. So I got to tip my hat off that. His quarterback rating is 86. This is Kyler Murray. It's not great, but what I like, he's not turning the ball over. He does not have good offensive line. So he's 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's not turning the ball over, and he has a bad offensive line. So, the next offseason, I think if you build around him, you get him a better offensive line, I think he could do better. And I will say this: I think he could be a good, solid NFL quarterback. I had my doubts when we drafted him, but I think he could actually be a good NFL quarterback. Daniel Jones, I have my concerns. I have my worries. But before I can actually honestly, put up my opinion saying that he's a bust, I need to see more around him. I want to see the Giants actually, build a team around him that's receivers, offensive line. I want to see that. Now it says I have not been impressed. 12 turnovers in this amount of games. It's just, there's no way around it to say it. It's bad. But, again, so right now, if I was going with the Rookie of the Year, and I was going who is the better of those two, I'm going to go with Kyler Murray. I like his game a little bit better. I like the clutch gene he has. And I also like the turnovers. That's what, that wins and loses you the game. Kyler Murray has, I think he's fumbled 1 time. So you can say he has 5 turnovers. Daniel Jones has 12. 12 is just too many. That's just too many. I think he's only played 5 games, and that is awful. So, right now I give the thumbs up to Kyler Murray. There's still a lot of season to play. There's still a lot of things that Daniel Jones could change my mind on him, and vice versa with Kyler Murray. But, I need to see more from Daniel Jones. Let's see here. The next thing we'll talk about is the AFC West. I say this: take the Chargers out, take the Broncos out, because you got, I think they're both 2-5. Broncos, they're bad. They're just bad. No way around it. That offense is really bad for the Broncos. And then the Chargers, they're really bad as well. I throw those both out. Those 2 teams probably should be looking for the next, what they're going to pick in the first round next year is what they should be looking for, because they're bad. They're not winning the division. So really, the only people that threatens the Chiefs is the Oakland Raiders. The Oakland Raiders now are, I think, 3-3. I would say this, I think John Gruden is doing a good job. I really do. A lot of people was giving him a lot of heat last year when he looked like he was just throwing the team away with all the trades and everything. But I think he's doing better. You see his picks is actually coming in and playing well. I think he's coaching well. They're 3-3, so they're not like the one of the top teams in the AFC. But I think they could make a push maybe for a wild card spot. But anyway, so they're 3-3. We got the Chiefs who's sitting at 5-2. And I was doing in my head, what's the worst case scenario for the Chiefs? Okay, so I just watched a video of Ian Rappaport, and he said that the Mahomes injury would be likely 3 to 5 weeks. Okay, they hope 3, but it could go 3 to 5 weeks. So let's say the Raiders win out. They win 5 games. That makes them 8-3. Okay, the Chiefs, let's say they go 2-3, which I doubt, because I really like Andy Reid. So I doubt that. Granted, I know the defense is not that good, and Matt Moore is the backup. So maybe 2-3 is maybe what they do. I don't think they're going to go 0-5. I like Andy Reid too much for that. But I don't think they're going to have be 5-0, 4-1. They're not going to pull a Saints situation here, because Matt Moore wasn't that good when he was young, and now he's even older. So, I think 2-3. Let's just say that's where they go. And that might be reasonable. The Chiefs will be 7-5, and the Raiders will be 8-3. They're only going to be 1 game back with Mahomes coming back. And this is if Mahomes misses 5 games. He could miss only 3. So this is the best case scenario for the Raiders and the worst case scenario for the Chiefs, okay? Mahomes will come back, and they'll only be behind 1 game, okay? And there'll be plenty enough time in that season for the Chiefs to come back and for Mahomes to come back, rather, and kind of make the difference of that 1 game. Because those two face each other on December the 1st. So they do play each other. I think that's a win for the Chiefs. I think Mahomes is going to win that. And so honestly, I think AFC West still belongs to the Kansas City Chiefs. So if I was a Chiefs fan, don't worry. Your boy Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes will be out for a little bit. But I think that the division is still yours. Again, Chargers, Broncos, they're not winning anything. I think the Raiders are the closest, threat you have. But, I just told you the best case scenario. And even still, if Mahomes comes back and you're only down one game, and you're going to play the Raiders later on in the season, the Chiefs are going to win that division. So I think, honestly, for any guy that was worried when Mahomes got hurt in that quarterback sneak, and you're thinking, my season over, I think you'll be fine. The only thing that could be a cause of concern, you may have gave up a bye week in the playoffs for that. You definitely gave up the home field advantage. Patriots going to win that. You might be able to get the second seed. We'll see how the Texans do and teams like that. But you're going to make the playoffs. You're going to win that division. So not all is lost there. So this next one is Ryan Tannehill and Marcus Mariota. I know there's probably not that many Titan fans out there, but I'm going to talk about this for the few there is. And because I'm a Titan fan, so I got to address this because I've seen a lot of people talk and debate about this. Yes, Ryan Tannehill played a really good game. He had 300 yards. He had his 2 touchdowns. He had an interception, but it wasn't really his fault. He got hit as he was throwing. This is what I say the difference between Mariota and Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill's going to throw you more 300-yard games. Mariota didn't have those very often. Ryan Tannehill is probably going to have more touchdowns. Actually, he will have more touchdowns, but he's going to have more interceptions. He's going to have more games where he's like, wow, that's really good. And then he's going to have more games, in my opinion, he's going to throw the game away. Mariota is a little safer with the ball. I saw a lot of people falling in love with Tannehill because he was throwing that ball in that tight window. And I'm like, you realize the ball was like that close to that cornerback's hand, So next week, what was a good play this game, next week it could be an interception. It could go in the other way. So let's hold our excitement on Ryan Tannehill. Look what he did in Miami. And granted, I've had a lot of people say to me that, he didn't have these weapons in Miami, and that's true. But he had some. He had, for a while, he had Jay Ajayi, he had Jarvis Landry, he had Rashawn Matthews, who's pretty decent. I feel like he had Kenny Steele. So he had good weapons, not great, but, he had enough people around him to say that wasn't a terrible team. But you see Tannehill in Miami, he will have these games. You have games like, wow, that's why they got him in the first round. Then you have games like, okay, get him out of here as fast as you can. And he had one of those good games last week against the Chargers team that I'm not in love with anyway, though. But next week he's liable to go out there and throw 3 picks. So I think Tannehill is more exciting, but he'll also have more games where he just throws it away, throws the game away because he's throwing picks. Mariota is safer with the ball, so he'll have more, less 300-yard games. He'll have less touchdowns, but less picks. So it's really what do you want, I guess. I actually don't think there's that big of a difference skill-wise. I really don't. I really think they're both good quarterbacks, but not great. And I think they're both, and you see this in their career. You see this in Ryan Tannehill and Marcus Mariota. And I love Mariota. He's a really good guy, and I hate to see him get benched. But this is what I think they both are. I think they're both teams that's going to take you to 7-9 to 9-7. And that's what Tannehill did in Miami. That's what Mariota did in Tennessee. Last 3 weeks, we was 9-7. Last 3 seasons, we was 9-7, okay? I think that's what they are. They'll win you games. They'll actually probably win you more than they lose you. But they'll, you're going to very rarely go to the playoffs. And when you do, you're not going to make a push to the Super Bowl. And I hate to say it, but I think that's what they both are. I think, Tannehill's a great backup to play. If your quarterback went down, he comes in, he'll win you games. And I think that's good. But Tannehill's not the answer in Nashville. I hope the fans don't think that. I hope John Robinson, our GM, doesn't think that. I hope, you play whoever you play. I really don't care because I don't think we're making the playoffs anyway. Just go with whoever you want. I would have stuck with Marcus Mariota. But after the season, as much as I love Mariota, he got benched. He's done. He's out. And good luck wherever you go. If I don't care where he gets traded to, unless he gets traded. Oh, I guess he doesn't have to be traded because this is his last year on the contract. Wherever he goes, unless it's New England, good luck. I'll cheer you on. I'm gonna root you on. I hope you do well. But his time is over in Nashville. With Ryan Tannehill, please guys, do not be bought in and sold on his 300-yard games. He's not the answer. Let's get the new guy in, whoever that is. There's a lot of good options coming in the draft. Let's, I like to get the Georgia's quarterback. Let's draft him. Let's draft somebody. Please do not give me a year or 2 years, maybe 3 years with Ryan Tannehill. Well, we're basically going to be a 9-7 again. Do not do that, Titans. But anyway, so, and honestly, if I was the Titans, I would have stuck with Marcus Mariota. But again, either of those two options, I don't think they're the answer. So there's that. So the last thing is the Bears. What's the problem with the Bears? And I think there'll be a short answer, Mitchell Trubisky. I did not think he was worth a second-round pick. I did not. I thought maybe a late first round. Did not think he was worth the second round. The Bears defense is ranked 4th, okay? I think the 49ers are ahead of them. Who else? I don't remember. I looked it up, but I forgot where it's at. But I just know there's only 3 teams ahead of them, okay? They're to the great defense, the top-notch defense. It's the offense that's holding back. And I'm not going to blame the coaching. I like Nagy. I love Matt Nagy. I think he's a great offensive-minded guy. And the fact that he can't get Trubisky going tells me Trubisky isn't that good. I know when you get a second-round quarterback and you trade it up to get him, you're going to be extremely patient with him. But Chicago, you're wasting your time with this guy. I watched his game. I watched his tape last week. Man, he was overthrowing people. He was underthrowing people. He was throwing too much to the left, too much to the right. He was missing people any way you could miss a guy, okay? His stat line last game looked better than it was because he had some garbage time drives and touchdowns. But I'm sorry, he's not the answer. His quarterback rating for the 3 seasons is 77, 95, which is decent, and then 82 so far this year. That's just not good enough, especially when you have, a good offensive-minded head coach, Nagy. And I'll say this, the 95, I think that was padded a little bit because he had one game where he went off with 7 touchdowns, 0 picks. That will help you for the rest of the season. You take those 7 touchdowns out and those 0 interceptions, his quarterback rating will probably plummet several points there. And I just think, man, I watch him and he's just too inconsistent. Some games will be good, but just too often to be a franchise quarterback, he's just inaccurate. Sometimes I feel like he doesn't know when to scramble, even though he's athletic and you think that's a strong point of his game. I see him, you throw that pass and he's trying to run. Oh, okay, there's no one open now. You can scramble for a good 5-6 yards. He's going to throw a pick. Or at least throw a bad idea pass. And this is what is this? His 4th season, or his 3rd, actually, my bad. So, but anyway, he's supposed to be smarter than this. He's supposed to be taking that next step, and he's not. I have not liked his progression. And if I was Chicago, I'm wasting this defense. This is a great defense, a defense that can win you the Super Bowl. We're wasting it with Mitchell Trubisky. And if I was the Bears, and I know, when you get someone the 2nd overall pick, you don't like to give up on him very fast because he's a 2nd overall pick. But I think there's enough tape on this guy. He's not gonna be good enough to get the job done, if you ask me, because he's got a great defense. You can't say, well, maybe if we get him a good defense and this, he'll be good enough to win us a Super Bowl. I don't think so. I really don't. You have a great defense last year. You have a great defense this year. He's not getting it done. So, and his average pass attempt, his average every pass with the, with the averages, sorry, my bad. He's 5.2 per pass. That's actually 31 out of 32. Only ahead of the New York Jets, which, they were a joke from what we saw last night. So that's awful. He's 5.2, average yards per pass. Not good, not good enough. So that means he's doing, and this is funny because, all of his passes are short, but he's still somehow not, you think usually when a guy throws that short, it can really pad your stats and make your stats, to me, look better than it is. And the fact that his stats still doesn't look that good, but yet he's averaging only 5 yards per pass, which means he's not that good. And so I just think if I was Chicago, it might be time to move on from him. And I think really, I think that's the problem. I think you bring in a good quarterback in Chicago, you're instantly, I think, going to win that division, probably. I mean, there's some good teams in that division. But I think you would be a real good Super Bowl contender with a good quarterback. And I don't think Mitchell Trubisky is that good quarterback. Anyway, so that's all 5 takes that I have for last week. So be sure to tune in for next Tuesday or Wednesdays when I drop 5 JP 5 takes. Also, for any Titan fans out there, what I'm going to start doing also next Sunday, and I'll do it every Sunday, is I'm going to do a recap of the Titans game on Sunday. Okay, so the problem is I'm going to be upset most of the time because that's the life of a Titan fan. So Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm going to have my normal show, JP 5 Takes, but then on Sundays, I'm going to have, I might make it live. Either way, I'm going to do a video of me just recapping the Titans game, and you're probably going to see me upset a lot because, again, that's the life of a Titan fan. So anyway, till next time, thanks for watching JP 5 Takes. Peace.